Just the one verse today from Luke chapter 2. Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favour with God and people. It's often interesting when you're reading biographies of famous people to learn something about their early life, the influence of their parents, significant events that shaped them, and so on. Often they can help us to understand how they developed into the person they became. Our gospel writers appear not to have had that much interest in the vast majority of Jesus' life. Once Mary, Joseph and Jesus return from Egypt, where they've gone to flee from Herod, and then they return and settle in Nazareth, we're largely told nothing of his life. We know that his family had a habit of going up to Jerusalem for the Passover each year, but we only really hear about one such visit when Jesus is about 12. His family have celebrated the festival and then they've set off from home. It was customary for men and women to travel in separate groups. Children would most likely have gone with the mother. But Jesus is 12, which is a bit of an awkward age in his day. It was like a crossover point between childhood and becoming a man. And I'm pretty sure every couple has moments like this, when each think the other will take care of something and neither of them does it. You know, they assume that the other one won't do it or forget that they have, and so they both do. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had just that scenario in our house. We ended up with 2 copies of the Radio Times because of it. Anyway, it seems Joseph assumes Jesus is with Mary, and Mary assumes he'll want to travel with the men, so he'll be with Joseph. Meanwhile, Jesus is back in Jerusalem, and they go a full day's journey before they realise, hold on a second, he's not here. They hurry back and find him chatting away, listening to the religious leaders asking questions, offering answers. They're quite amazed at his level of understanding. But the passage concludes with that line with which we began. Jesus continued to grow in wisdom and in stature and in favour with God and with people. Jesus continues to grow, to develop, to learn. But overall, we know nothing of that childhood, or even most of his adult life. 90% of Jesus' earthly existence is glossed over largely in a single sentence. We assume that for a time he followed in the family tree and became a carpenter. Holman Hunt has a famous picture of the child Jesus helping Joseph in the carpenter shop. Jesus is crouched on the floor playing with 3 large nails. The sun shines through the window and casts a shadow on the floor. Behind Jesus in the shape of a cross. And we assume Jesus worked in the trade, but we're never told. It's assumed that they were a poor family. But the only piece of evidence for this is when Jesus is presented in the temple and his parents bring an offering that was customary for the poor. But in reality, carpentering was more of an artisan trade. It would have been more what we would have considered middle class today. But we just don't know the economic circumstances of the family. It's also often assumed, because he's not mentioned in Jesus' ministry years, that Joseph has died by then. Quite likely, given that life expectancy was not that high in first century Israel. Even Jesus at 33 would not have been considered that young to have died. Particularly if, as is often suggested, Joseph was quite a bit older than Mary. But we're not told that happened. It would appear by the time of 12, when Jesus gets left behind by his parents, that he's at least partially aware of the calling on his life. He talks about being about his father's house, suggestive of an awareness that he is the Son of God. How did he become aware of this? Did Mary and Joseph tell him? Perhaps when, as we'd continue right into adulthood, his parentage was questioned? Or was he just somehow spiritually aware? We don't know. All we know is that he grew in wisdom and in stature and in favour with God and people. In Jesus, God empties himself completely and fully enters into the human condition. He grows and develops in the slow way we all do, rather than kind of some instant download of knowledge, wisdom and maturity that we probably all sometimes wish we could have. But in keeping with what we've been thinking about over these last few weeks, Jesus spends a lot of his life waiting to fulfill what he's been sent here to do. Through infancy, childhood, adolescence, into maturity. Through a trade, through time spent in synagogues, through pilgrimages, through festivals. But he takes the time to develop in wisdom. He learns from those around him. He develops in relationship with others and with God. So as we celebrate the arrival of Christ, a few questions for us to reflect on as we consider how we grow. As you look back on the past year, what have you learned about yourself? Are there areas of your life where you feel you've grown closer to God? What's helped you? Are there ways you feel farther from God than you were? I don't ask you that so you can beat yourself up, just to simply acknowledge it. How might you draw closer over this Christmas season and into the new year? What are you waiting for as we head into 2021? How would you like to grow in wisdom, understanding, relationships, and the grace of God? And where will you need God's patience? May the love of the Creator, the joy of the Spirit, and the peace of the Christ child be with you this Christmas. Amen. Happy Christmas.